The results of the 6th district race remind us that the 6th district is still a Republican district, and that fundamentally this district kind of reverted back to what we would expect it to do. Now, I think the one place that it's different is that this race, like the other special elections that have been held throughout the country, is that the margin between the Democrats and the Republicans was narrower. So that reflects the greater engagement amongst Democratic voters, particularly in red-leaning districts. So I would expect that these districts are going to be more competitive potentially going forward if Democrats can maintain the same level of enthusiasm for the next year and a half. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Karen Handel had the advantage in this district because, numerically speaking, there were more Democrats than Republicans in the district. And while Jon Ossoff did a commendable job locating and finding and mobilizing as many Democratic voters as possible, he could not surmount Karen Handel's advantage because she actually also went out and campaigned amongst her base as well, and there just weren't enough Democrats to be able to overtake her. Trying to compare a special election in June in an off year is very different than looking at what a November midterm election will look like. So I think it's an apples to oranges comparison to assume that just because Democrats didn't win here that they can't be competitive in 2018. But I think that there's this larger quandary that the Democratic Party has in terms of it's trying to figure out how to reconcile its centrist and its progressive bases. And so I expect that there are going to be some really tough conversations within the Democratic Party in the next few days and weeks and months about whether or not candidates should try to run to the center or whether they should try to appeal to the left flank and thus generate more excitement about the race. At the end of the day, I'm not quite sure that either tactic would have necessarily been more or less successful. Academic political scientists who make these types of predictions would wait until next summer to start making their predictions, and the things that they're going to be looking at are what the general mood in the country is the summer before a midterm election. And so if Democrats are engaged, if the national mood suggests that voters want Democrats to have control of the House of Representatives, then that should bode well for Democratic prospects nationally speaking. There are also other issues to look at, for instance, the state of the economy. And I think the other thing that people are going to be looking at is that a year and a half, nearly 2 years into the Trump administration, we want to see whether or not voters feel that President Trump has lived up to his hype and expectations and whether or not he's been able to keep his promises.